Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 Meet the Candidates Night. Thank you for joining us for this important opportunity to hear directly from the candidates running for a seat on the Board of Education. To guide us through tonight's event, I am pleased to introduce you to our moderator for the night, Amy Thomas, the Executive Director of the Monroe County School Boards Association. We're honored to have her with us tonight and to moderate this evening's discussions. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Amy Thomas.
I don't think I've ever gotten applause before, so that's really welcoming. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the East Irondequoit Central School District Meet the Candidates Night. My name is Amy Thomas. I'm the Executive Director of the Monroe County School Boards Association, and I have been invited to be the moderator this evening, and it's my honor to be here. This year, we have 4 candidates running for 3 seats. Our candidates seated in ballot order are Shani Keelan, Kimberly Lasher, Jeffrey Petrie, and Jessica Krupa. Before we invite the candidates to give their opening statements, I'd like to highlight the work of elected Board of Education members. East Irondequoit has 9 dedicated, unpaid volunteers who invest hundreds of hours during their term to understand their roles and responsibilities and stay updated on educational trends and legislation affecting public education. They also ensure that they are accessible to the community by serving on district committees and participating in district functions and events throughout the school year. I extend my gratitude to each one of you for your commitment to pursuing this vital position of service to students, the community, and to public education. With that said, candidates, thank you for being here this evening. You will be provided 3 minutes for an opening introductory statement. After opening statements, each candidate will be asked 5 questions, alternating who answers first, and then I'll ask audience questions submitted tonight. And as I mentioned to you before, there may be specific questions for specific candidates. Candidates, you'll be given 2 minutes to deliver your responses. Please feel free to ask for any question to be repeated when needed. We'll end the night with 2-minute closing statements. Please watch the timekeeper right in front of you for a yellow card, which will indicate 30 seconds are left, and for a red card to know when the time is up. We ask that you start wrapping up when you see the yellow card. As a reminder, community members in attendance may submit questions on the index cards provided to the district clerk. We ask that audience members submit no more than 3 questions so that our candidates have time to get through all of them. So it's time to get to know our candidates. So we'll begin with opening statements, beginning with Shani.
Good evening. As an educator with over 25 years experience, starting out as a substitute teacher in Chicago Public Schools and a teacher instructional coach, moved into principalship and assistant principalship. I then moved to Buffalo, New York, and did some turnaround assistant principal and principalship work. I headed back to Illinois for a short time, not short, 5 years, and worked on my assistant superintendency and also getting a degree in superintendency. Before making my way back on the western side of New York, I took a short stint in Holland, Michigan as a superintendent. That was not the right time or space for me. And so moved into Rochester as a chief academic officer, and now I serve in Rush Henrietta as a deputy superintendent. So all of that to say, plenty of time in education. I'm very interested in serving the East Irondequoit community on the other side of board governance and not in that superintendency role. One, because I have 3 children in the district. They are in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade, and I'm very involved with them and all of their friends in the worlds that they live, mostly around sports, but some with theater. And I work on policy right now in my current role, and so that shift will be pretty easy, taking updates from NYSBA and understanding budget and really the role of board governance, different from the role of working in a district or working for a school, but always been passionate around public education, and community engagement, and specifically really bringing the schools and the community together and that partnership. So strong advocate for those who I serve, my own children, but all children K-12 in East Irondequoit.
Thanks, Shani. Kim?
Hi, folks. I'm Kim Lasher, and give you a little background. I'm a lifelong Lancer. Attended schools in East Irondequoit and graduated from Eastridge in 1984. I am married to a wonderful man, Bob, 37 years. We raised 2 sons in the district, and both graduated from Eastridge. I'm currently the customer care manager for Wegmans Food Markets, and I am number 2 on the ballot. So I'm seeking re-election for my school board seat, and I ask that on May 20th, you please get out and vote for our budget, which I support 100%, and please vote for me. I'm number 2 on your ballot. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Jeff?
Good evening. My name's Jeff Petrie. I'm number 2 on the ballot here. I have lived here in the district for about 45 years now. Raised 4 children here, along with my wife Lori. My profession for 50 years has been technology and software development. Many times as a software consultant, so I've worked for most of the major corporations here in Monroe County and the area. Here in the district, I started my political career, I guess I could say, with Eastridge Parents for Music. I got nominated as a vice president for that organization and spent a few years there and before coming to the board, and was also a mentor on the robotics team at Eastridge. I've served in 2 blocks on this board, one in the 90s, and then I took 10 years off, and again in 2000. So I'm seeking re-election this year. I'm number 2 on the ballot. I ask for your support, and also please support the budget for us. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff. And Jess?
I'm Jessica Krupa. Sorry, is it not my turn?
Sorry,
You're number 3?
I said I'm
just
number
checking.
3. So
Jeff's 3.
my apologies.
I'm Jessica Krupa. I am number 4 on the ballot. I have lived in East Irondequoit for 18 years. My husband and I moved in right before my oldest daughter was born. She is a senior. I also have a son who is a freshman up at the high school at Eastridge. I am just finishing up close to my 23rd year of teaching. I'm a physical education teacher for the little kids K through 3 at a neighboring Monroe County school, very similar to our demographic here in East Irondequoit, just a larger district. So I've enjoyed my time teaching. I have a lot of experience with kids, and also, have my own 2 kids that are in the district, so that gives me a unique perspective coming into the re-election. I'm seeking my 3rd term, so I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thanks, Jess. Okay, now it's time for the question and answer portion of the evening. A reminder that answers should not exceed 2 minutes. When there are 30 seconds remaining in the candidate's allotted time, a 30-second notification will be shown to the candidate, the yellow card, and when time is up, the second notification will be shown. Okay, for the first question, we're going to begin with Kim. Question number 1. Please share what inspired you to run for the East Irondequoit Board of Education and the unique perspective you bring to the role.
Thank you, Amy. So what inspires me is sort of my North Star. It's the children of our district. So they've always been what inspires me. I originally sat in different PTAs and PTSAs through the district, and when I was the PTSA president at the high school, I used to come to board meetings. I sat at board meetings for 2 years and got very interested listening to what the district was doing, and I shared back that information as board president. After sitting 2 years and listening to meetings, I decided to run for the board because I felt that was a good way for me to volunteer for all the children of the community. So to answer the second part of the question, what gives me a unique perspective, I think, is I'm a lifelong Lancer. I've attended the schools. I understand the schools. I'm also a parent who raised 2 children in the schools. I was also involved in many East Irondequoit groups, Parents for Music, Sports Boosters. I've sat on a lot of safety committees and whatnot. I think it gives me a perspective to look at different lenses of the needs and concerns of the community. And I will be remiss if I don't mention my years of board service too. I think that that has given me a wide lens of seeing what's important to our community and for our students, our staff, and our community altogether. So,
Thanks, Kim. Jeff, same question.
Well, first of all, I guess I'd say I put 4 fantastic children through the system, so that's one thing that kind of brought me to this board. I first joined the board many years ago during a very difficult time in our district when we had opposing political groups fighting for control over the school district. At that time, the unique skills that I brought to this was the ability to run successful political campaigns several years in a row. That conflict eventually faded, and allowing our district to return to a more normal state, which I think is something we're all very proud of. As Kim was talking, I did remember that one of the things that did bring me to the school board was I was on the Parents for Music, and we had a big field competition every year, and we didn't have lights on the football field. So one of the things that brought me here was somebody had to come up here and get lights on the football field, and that was one of the first projects I did many, many years ago. That football field is gone now. It's been replaced with a brand new football field, but that was one of the things that initially brought me. I can say this, I'm one of the, I'll say, more senior people on the board, and I think my experience across different industries outside of education, I often see things differently. I've also always said that this is a unique opportunity to see how now a $100 million operation works from the inside, and who wouldn't find that very interesting? So, thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Jess.
All right. So what inspired me was very similar to Jeff and Kim, starting out when my oldest was school age at Hellendale, serving on PTA there, site-based teams, helping out at different activities and events. And as they got older and their friend groups grow and your circle grows, you become more involved in all different aspects, not just what your own kids are involved in, but what their friends are involved in. And once my daughter hit middle school, she kind of started not wanting, mom around at PTA all the time. And so I started thinking about what are other ways that I could also volunteer my time, have a positive impact, and advocate for students. And so I decided to run for the school board. One of the unique perspectives I think that I have is being a PE teacher. I teach over 400 kids in a building. I have to be a really great listener. I have to make connections with all 400 plus of those kids so that they can build a rapport and a relationship with me. So I think that those are some skills that I use here. Being a really great listener, both on the board, out in the community, to all the different stakeholders that we support. So on top of having to be a good listener as a mom and a teacher, I think that helps me here in my role as a board member.
Thanks, Jess. Thanks. Shani.
Hello, thank you. really similar to everyone else, you have students in the community and you start to build your circle. I moved here 3 years ago from Illinois and really chose East Irondequoit to move to by suggestion of folks that I worked with in Rochester, surrounded around the diversity of the community and really that everyone telling me it's a great place to be and great place to raise your kids. So that drew me to the community, and since I have been drawn into many other circles around the community, really comes from a deep commitment to serve, to provide public service and kind of a civic responsibility, not only to support my students, but all students. I'm very passionate about public education. I worked outside of it for 1 year of my career, and I thought, what in the world is this? It was a charter, and so very, very passionate about public education and the opportunities it provides students, and making sure that all students have the access and community engagement that aligns with that. I understand the diverse needs of our students and families. My own children are diverse. They do not look like me, and so I, as a parent, have to fight and advocate in different ways than maybe most. I bring unique perspective not only from my educational career that I talked of earlier, but really a personal passion for community engagement and relationships. I believe the passion between building community and collaboration with the school board and district is vital to all student success.
Thanks, Shady. Okay, next question, we'll begin with Jeff. Jeff, what are your top priorities if elected to serve on the Board of Education, and how do you plan to address them?
Thank you, Amy. I guess my top priority at this point is always continuous improvement for our school district. I serve with 9 other people that work collaboratively to decide what our priorities are going to be as we move forward into the future. I can give you a few examples from the past. I presented the first long-term technology plan to the board that laid out a 5-year investment in computers for the district. This was some 30 years ago, and the district has continued to make these investments in technology for our staff and students. And I like to think that I contributed to that commitment. I also spent several years traveling to Albany to advocate for modifications to the building aid formulas. At the time, Pittsford was receiving more building aid than we were. And over the years, that situation has eventually corrected itself. There are many challenges coming, such as cell phone restrictions, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, building security, that will all involve technology solutions. And I feel I can contribute to that. Fortunately, we have some very talented and capable staff in our technology arena that will help us implement the changes that we will need along these lines in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Jess?
My top priority, I'm sure everybody's going to have a similar priority, is the students and the students as a whole person. So I think for us, continuing to give them the rigor and the programs and pathways to find what they enjoy and what they want to be as a learner is really important. And I think we are really right in the midst of some really great work, and I would love to continue the opportunity to keep working on that with the board and the district. I also feel like we are doing a really great job focusing on the social emotional aspect of our students. I think that keeping that as a priority and making sure that that's at the forefront of our decisions and how we, assist them in navigating through their day, not just academically in the classroom, but how they're feeling, what's going on with them. I think we've set up some great things in that area as well. I think that supporting AVID and having AVID at all different age levels is going to be a huge advantage for our students. I think we always see how great it is. The middle school and the high school, we see what great things they produce and what great skills they leave East Irondequoit with. I think we'll be even more shocked and surprised and excited about those things happening for our little kids, our younger ones that are really going to start being real inquisitive and really start, wanting to learn more at that age.
Thanks, Jess. Shani.
Thank you again. Pretty similar, but I would say, enhancing the work that has already been done in East Irondequoit around the same social emotional learning, mental health supports, AVID program. I was really happy to see that when we first got here and Durant Eastman was starting some AVID work, because I came from a school that had AVID when I was a middle school assistant principal in Chicago, and it's just incredible work. So that is one piece, and then continuing high expectations and high quality instructional core. The district's doing a great job with that, but I think continuing the efforts to ensure that that's happening in every class every day. And then the last piece is strengthening community engagement. I think the district's doing a great job. I get talking points daily. I have a teacher who reports to me daily, and I get all my newsletters and everything through talking points. And it's a great use of communicating, and I think communication is an area that we all can improve on all the time. And as an educator, we hear it all the time that we're never communicating enough. And so I think that's a constant journey to continue to evolve. I like that we talked about cycle of continuous improvement. I think that's the work, right? The work is never done, and always continuing to reflect on what's been done well, what can we continue to do better, and really helping just push so that all students and families get the same level. To do this, I would just collaborate with the board members. I was shocked and appalled to see 9 board members, and that's a pretty big size board for the size of a district, but really communicating with them, educators and stakeholders, and then as we review policies, making changes that are necessary to reflect the values and meet student needs.
Thanks, Shani. Kim?
Thanks, Amy. So we have a lot of priorities as a board, and I listed actually 5 that I wanted to talk about tonight. They're in no particular order, but of course, excellent education for all students, preparing them not only for things we think of like college, but also maybe vocation or something they want to do beyond the halls of Eastridge, preparing them to be good citizens in general. Budget. We review and present a budget every year to the community. That is a huge priority for us, very important one. Safety is always a priority, and that encompasses safety, of course, of our buildings from outside threats, but also when I think of safety, I think about creating safe learning environments for all in our classrooms. Jess had mentioned this, addressing those and promoting social and emotional learnings for our students through that. Improve mental health for our students is always a priority, something that we're talking more and more about as a board. And last but certainly not least, hiring and retaining excellent staff. I think it's key to continuing to do what we need to do in our district to educate our kids. You asked how I would address that. I would address it like we do all our priorities or goals for the district. As a 9 board member team, really, as we call ourselves, along with working with our superintendent and our administrators. Some of us advocate at the state and federal level. Some of us sit on various committees, but we all work together as a 9-person board to address our priorities and goals.
Thanks, Kim. Jess, we're going to begin with you next. And actually, Kim had a perfect
I was just going to
segue
say
to
it's
this
a great
question.
segue. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
Tossed it up nice for me.
Okay. The question is, how will you advocate for our district at the state and federal levels to secure necessary funding and support?
Well, I think that's something that as a board and as a community, people are talking about all the time. The budget, funding, state funding, federal funding, cuts to funding. It's constantly in conversations. We see it constantly in the media. We see it in pretty much anything that we're doing if we're, looking at a school district. And I think that as a board member, it is important to advocate for those things. I think that the 9 board members that we have do a great job. Everybody has a little bit of a different role in how we advocate. We have some people that go to Albany and they advocate, and they are the boots on the ground people. We have board members that send emails. We have board members that go to have conversations with some local politicians and people that way. I think the biggest thing is having conversations around it, knowing what our priority is as a district, and making sure that as a whole we are doing the things to make sure that we have that funding or that we're advocating for that funding. I've been to conferences and different workshops and things around advocacy. So something that we all focus on and that we're all going to continue to work on.
Thanks, Jess.
Yeah.
Shani, same question.
So I think in all ways possible is really the best answer, right? We have to always advocate for the district at local, state, and federal levels. Funding is necessary. Foundation aid formulas are a thing that confuse some of us some of the time, and other time it makes sense. And it's supposed to be there to help us all, every district, get what they need based on our district size and population and all the different variables. But it isn't always enough. So I'd say any and every way possible with the Monroe County School Board Association, New York State School Board Association, Board of Regents, and considering there's a 9-person board, and this is my first time running, I would have to kind of see where I would fit in with who attends what functions and who is on what committee, and really thinking about how I would best support the whole team, but really in that supporting the superintendent and her strategic plan and goals and vision around what we need to advocate around is the best way to do it. And then I think that's it, but just really, obviously building bridges too. I've been to a few events this year. We're meeting legislators and assemblymen, senators, U.S. reps, inviting them into our schools, but also getting out to events where they are to advocate on behalf of the district.
Thank you. Kim?
Thanks, Amy. Not to repeat what Jess said, but it's different ways we advocate through the board. We have something that's a legislator breakfast every year we attend where we get to talk with our local leaders. We also have a legislative liaison to the board that does outreach, and of course traveling to Albany, as Jess said. One of the things that come to mind, we work collaboratively sometimes with other groups. Years ago we were not getting our full foundation aid, and one of our board members, Carol Watts, spearheaded the board taking on a letter campaign, and we worked with EITA and advocated for full foundation aid. And so we all advocate different ways. Again, just mentioned a couple of them, and I won't repeat everything, but we do advocate at the state and the federal level, and it's important to do so to make sure that we are getting our what we need for our students and keeping our local leaders abreast of our concerns and issues within our schools.
Thanks, Kim. And Jeff?
Well, I guess I'll be the wet blanket here, because there's not much a single person can do in the areas of state and federal aid. And I guess I'll steal a phrase: it takes a village. I certainly fought for building aid for a long time. As Kim mentioned, Carol Watt on our board fought for years for the foundation aid, and was successful, I might add. So it's not impossible. The dirty little secret here is that for us to receive more money at the state or federal level, it requires somebody else to lose money. There's very rarely more money provided for education. So you can imagine the conflict that generates at the legislators. If for us to win something, somebody else in the state has to lose. We are fortunate, however, to have close relationships with both of our state and federal representatives. We're very lucky. For example, I've known Congressman Morelli for many years now, since he was in the state assembly, and he lives here in the district, so it's something that we have good communications with him as well. So, thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, the next question, we're going to begin with Shani. How does the role of a board member differ from the role of a superintendent?
So they're completely different. The superintendent's job is to be the chief education officer and run day-to-day operations and administration and educational, instructional leadership. The board's role really is to support that by way of policy, by way of budget, by the way of advocacy, and really work together to support the community in their interest and in their vision, but also to work hand in hand with the superintendent in that work. But really, they're very different roles. The board hires the superintendent to run the district, and then we get to help in policy, budget, and governance.
Thanks, Sheenie. Kim, same question.
I feel like I'm going to be a broken record here, but board members set, review, and ensure policies, and making sure that they're in compliance with law. We hire a superintendent, we evaluate our superintendent, we review and create district budgets, we review and help implement the district's vision, mission statements, and of course, we represent our community. Superintendent, like Cheney said, is the CEO. Like, she's responsible to run our district. She does the daily operations of the district. She carries out the goals of the district. So very different roles. However, we do work close, hand in hand, with our superintendent.
Thanks, Kim. Jeff?
A lot of similar themes. Yep, totally different. I can describe what my beliefs are. First, the board hires a superintendent. I consider the superintendent our CEO, and we charge her to run the operations of the district. Much like the Senate has advice and consent over things, we have oversight over things like hiring and the budget. And I personally think that she should be given the freedom to run the district as her experience dictates. I believe board members must never interfere with the operations of the school district. Our communication always goes in both directions. Superintendent Grow keeps us informed about issues in our school buildings, and we try to keep her informed about things that we hear in the community. This works very well for us. I think Superintendent Grow is perhaps the best superintendent we have ever had, which is difficult for me, as I'm very fond of Dr. Josephine Keogh. They both steered our district through very difficult times with politics and COVID, and I'll be forever grateful to have been able to work with those two wonderful leaders.
Thanks, Jeff. Jess?
Okay, let's see if I can say that in a totally different way. I think we've kind of nailed down the two different things. I definitely think that the board, obviously, we have a totally different side of things. We don't see the day-to-day. We don't talk about, those types of things. We oversee those things through our superintendent. So making sure that what's done day-to-day in the buildings is up to policy, that the programming and the staffing and the resources and all of those things that we do are geared towards making our students successful and reaching those goals. People have said that's the governing body and those kinds of things. Along with Jeff, that was another one of the things that I was very excited about when I came onto the board, because Ms. Grow was also coming on at the same time. And I did not have kids in the middle school or the high school at that point, and there wasn't a single person that I talked to who didn't have great things to say, and I was excited to be able to jump on board, so to speak, at that same time and really, keep the trajectory going in a positive direction.
Thanks, Jess.
Yep.
Okay, for the next question, we'll begin with Kim. How would you handle a difficult situation reported to you by a student, family member, staff, or community member?
So I always say you have to listen to their concern, really listen to them. As Jess mentioned, I think being a good board member, you have to listen to your community, any of their concerns. Once you hear them out, I always ask what their expectation is, what they're looking for. Once I have a clear understanding of that expectation, then it's easy for me to help guide them, either to maybe a teacher they need to speak to or a principal. I know I've had folks in the past call and say, I really would like to speak to the superintendent about this, but I'm just gonna say this, the superintendent always isn't the best person to speak to about an issue. Sometimes the folks right in the building where they're experiencing the issue are the best people to help them with that. So again, I would just say, listen, and help guide them and make sure, to follow up with them to make sure that whatever issue they were having is resolved, to see if you can help them any more than you already have.
Thanks, Kim. Jeff?
I guess I'll state for the record, I am a firm believer in the chain of command, and as such, it starts with me notifying our school board president and then the superintendent. We can then work together as a team to decide what the best path forward is for whatever this issue is. It's important to understand that as a school board member, I have absolutely no authority whatsoever. I am one of 9-member policy board that has no individual power in these situations. There is a lot the district can do to resolve very difficult situations within our community, but we are ultimately guided by our school board policies. A key responsibility of this board is to review and update our policies, which we do regularly. Thank you.
Jess?
All right, so this happens often, as we who are on the board know. It can happen at Wegmans, it can happen at a sporting event, it can happen in your driveway, it can happen when you're mowing your lawn. So I think, like I said before, for me, being an active listening, I think that kind of probably says something about us as a board, that if we do have lots of people coming to ask questions, that we are approachable and that we are, problem solvers. So those are two things that I feel like we are pretty good at. So obviously you're listening to whatever the problem or issue may be. And then kind of a combination of what Kim and Jeff said, there's asking for what they've done so far, I guess, is usually what I say is, who have you talked to so far besides me? And then that chain of command comes in and, you give them that, okay, well, if you've talked to the teacher, or has your child advocated for themselves, or all those types of things. And then obviously after that conversation, again, like Jeff said, our policy is, as a board, is that we, obviously let our board president know of the issue, and we contact our superintendent so that no one is ever blindsided, right? We are a whole group. We all want to be advocating in the right way and problem solving in the correct way. So just keeping everybody in the loop is something that we really focus on.
Thanks, Jess. Shani?
Well, I think it's been said really well so far, but I would just say that it's always sensitive because wherever the situation lies with the person bringing it to you, for them it's a very big situation, typically, and so it requires some empathy, discretion, and adhering to established protocols and or policies. So I think listening actively is key, and then thinking through next steps. I think always including your board president and superintendent if that's the level it rises to. If it's as simple as maybe you should just check in with the principal, that's next step. I think that's part of what Kim was saying, kind of figuring out exactly what the next steps are. But I think if the issue is large enough, it needs to be brought forward to the superintendent and the board president. And then just always following appropriate channels of East Irondequoit. Every district has their own channels and policies and procedures, but I think following those is really important. And then just making sure that things are acknowledged, they're addressed and or resolved. And I may not know whether it's resolved or not, and that's okay. My job as a board member would be to just share and bring things forward and then let the district do their job.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to move into audience questions, and we have quite a few, so bear with me on this. As I stated earlier, there will be some questions for all of you, and there will be some questions for one or more of you, okay? Okay, so for our first audience question, we're going to begin with Jeff. Are you planning on serving the district for more than 3 years, or is this a stepping stone for a town or state seat?
Thank you for the question, whoever that was. Wow, how do I answer that one? That's a good one. My youngest just graduated from Eastridge 2 years ago. So I've had the honor to be on this board, excuse me, for each of my children. And it's been a great honor. Oh my God, moving up to another political post, I think not.
Jeff, it's not my question. Just to let you know.
I'm looking forward to retirement in a few years, and that's what I plan to do. So, thank you.
Jess, same question.
No. This part of it seems very much outside of my comfort zone. I just kind of lead with kids first. I lead with my heart. I lead with, what I think is best for our district. So I really have no ambition beyond this. This meaning the board, but when I say this, I'm talking about the candidates night and the voting and all that other stuff. This is plenty. I'm all set.
Shani.
I would answer it the same way. When somebody asked me when I was in high school, would you ever be a teacher? I said, absolutely not. And I went through that whole process. And honestly, if you asked me the same question about school board a couple of years ago, I would have said the same. But as a parent and being entrenched in the community, it seemed like the right thing to do now. I have no intentions of going anywhere soon. I have a 5th grader, so I have at least 6 more years in the district till all of my littles get out and graduated. But that doesn't mean I might not serve past that.
Okay. Kim.
My heart belongs to East Irondequoit. I don't plan on running for any other board but this board.
Okay. The next question is for Shani. Shani, as Deputy Superintendent of Rush Henrietta, you're required to attend board meetings. As with East Irondequoit, you're required to attend board meetings. Missing a board meeting is a challenge for a board member who will feel the disconnect even after talking to other board members and the superintendent as to what occurred at the meetings. Also, boards are 5, 7, or 9 members for a reason. If a vote is 4-4, for example, the vote fails and does not come up for a vote again. Additionally, board members have to attend trainings, events, seminars, conferences, etc. Some of these will likely have conflicts with timing in both districts. How are you planning to balance being a board member?
So I've already started to plan for that with my superintendent. We have switched some of our meetings for next year. They're every 3rd week next year, so there's a lot less conflicts. This board starts at 6 p.m. Ours starts at 7. So there's a little bit of wiggle room in there, but not a ton. But also, some of the events that we attend are the same. So like NISCUS, for example, or NISBA, not NISCUS, NISBA, MCSBA, the Maroon County School Board Association, the luncheons, the legislative breakfast. So I would be wearing 2 hats, essentially, maybe, but in one space and being able to kind of navigate both. And so where it might be difficult, I think it will also give me an added lens on both sides and actually grow my capacity and competency overall to be able to support East Irondequoit in a different way than what I support my current district where I work.
Okay, thank you. For the next question, it's for all 4 candidates. And Jess, we'll begin with you. Okay. Where have you worked in the past decade? What was your position, your greatest accomplishment, and why did you leave?
Let's see, in the last decade or 2 plus, I've worked in the Rush Henrietta Central School District as a physical education teacher. My biggest accomplishment, oh my gosh, every kid that leaves my elementary school probably, being able to still connect with a lot of those kids. I've gone to weddings, bridal showers, baby showers. I have students that I had. So to me, seeing kids 5, 10, 15 years later in Wegmans, I always joke around that one of my superpowers is remembering names. So whether it's their first name or last name, it really throws them off guard when, their elementary school PE teacher remembers their name. They're like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I would say that was my biggest accomplishment, and I haven't left.
Thanks, Jess.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, of course. Where have you worked in the past decade? What was your position, your greatest accomplishment, and why did you leave?
So the past decade, it's been a little bit, but I guess the two biggest accomplishments, Buffalo Public Schools, I was a transformation school turnaround principal, and we moved out of the lowest designation within 18 months, so that was a huge accomplishment. And I left there actually to go to Waukegan to move up in leadership, where I became an assistant sup of school leadership and development. And there, we transformed the whole district, 15 of the elementary schools, to good standing or above, and we had a blue ribbon school. So that was my most proud moments in the last 10 years.
Kim?
So for the last, actually it's almost 13 years, I've worked for Wegmans. I started out part-time in their pharmacy support center, and I am now the current customer care manager for Wegmans Foods. My position, again, customer care manager, but I think working for Wegmans, I tease. I always say, two things I love in life is East Irondequoit and Wegmans. And I will say that Wegmans has high values and high standards, and they're very caring to work for. And those are the same values that I have. My biggest accomplishment there, probably have not yet to do, but I will tell you, we just rolled out our new app, our Wegmans app. That was a huge undertaking. And I would say my biggest accomplishment to date is probably handling thousands of customer issues and leaving our customers happy and satisfied.
Thanks, Kim.
Yeah.
Jeff?
Could you repeat that again?
I
I love Wegmans too. I'll start with that.
Where have you worked in the past decade? What was your position, your greatest accomplishment, and why did you leave?
Well, I haven't left. I've been with Bosch Security Systems now for the last 10 years as a senior software engineer. Biggest accomplishment, probably my latest is we have a new product that came out last year, and I was part of a team that got it through what they call UL certification. Very exhaustive testing that it has to go through United Laboratories to get certified. So that was a biggie. I guess that's it. I'm still with them. We'll be with them for, I'm pretty sure, till I no longer need employment. So.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Shani, we have another question for you. In your position, you have the advantage of knowing all about education, but that does not mean you understand the role of a board member and can actually be a disadvantage in the role. Can you please address this concern?
I've been attending board meetings, probably since my principalship in Buffalo. And so seeing many different boards in many states, actually, 3 states, I think I've had the understanding of seeing high-functioning boards and seeing some tumultuous boards. So I think board communication is really important, and the way that the board communicates with superintendent is key to the success of the school district, but also the board as a functioning board. So you're right, it is a different view and it's a different angle, but I know the view and I know the angle, and I know how to stay in my role and in my lane, so I don't think it'll cause an issue. Being on the other side, as I sit around this table as a deputy superintendent, you don't want to be caught in those moments of surprises or situations as a school district, and so I would never do that to the school district either as a board member of the school district. So I hope that answers the question.
Thanks, Shani. Okay, the next question is for all 4 of you. We're going to begin, sorry, Shani, I seem to be calling your name quite a bit.
It's okay.
We're beginning with you. The next question is, what do you think about parental rights?
I guess it's hard to answer without knowing exactly in what circumstance, but as a parent, I believe, you know, as a parent, we have rights and we have situations. I'll say, in one thing in the medical field, it does baffle me when I go with my 13-year-old and they say, sorry, you can't access their records anymore until they give you permission. But I think working in many school districts across, I believe we have a lot of guardians. We have a lot of legal situations that come up in our schools and in our systems around who has rights, who doesn't have right to communicate. And really it comes down to whatever custodial rights we have or legal papers we have, and how to address that. So I don't know if I'm answering this question right, but I'm going to leave it there.
Kim, same question.
Can you repeat it? Like,
What do you
what do
think
you think?
about parental rights?
I think as a parent, I have a right to be invested in my child's education. I guess that would be my first thought about that. And again, not knowing the context of the question, I think while we all have rights as parents, I also believe that, I don't know, for an example, if my son was in school and wanted to talk with his counselor and didn't want me involved in that, I would be okay with that. Sometimes kids need, you know, people to talk to or someone to listen to them besides their parents. I guess that's all I'm going to say without the context of it. It's hard to really answer that question.
Okay. Jeff?
Yeah, that is a fun one. As a parent, I guess I'd have to say I believe in full transparency with parents, and I think ultimately the parents should have final say in issues that affect their student.
Okay. Jess?
I guess I'm going to look at it from not a parent's perspective and from a board member's perspective, because I guess that's what we're doing up here, is sitting here as a board member. So trying to take the fact that I'm a parent is a little tricky out of the situation. But I would say that as a board, we have policies, we have laws that we have to abide by that are handed down to us from the state and the federal levels. And I think as a board, we do our best to always listen, and as a parent, you're going to advocate for what you think is best for your child. And I think that as a district and as parents, we have to find a happy medium if there's something that we don't agree upon, or if there's something that, you know, if that is the case, that we can come to an agreement, obviously, while staying within policies and laws that are put upon us as a board and as a district.
The next question is for all four of you. And we're going to begin with Kim. New York State has historically been a leader in protecting marginalized students. How would you leverage state laws and resources to shield our district from potential federal policies that conflict with our community values?
I think as a board, we do that now. We take care of our students. So as a board, I think collectively do the same thing that we always do. We advocate and make sure that we're protecting all children. I know there's a lot of stuff going on at the federal level, and it's a little bit scary, you know, within a district such as our own. I will tell you, at least the 9 board members currently sitting, we protect all our students. We advocate for all our students, and we will continue to do so.
Thanks, Kim. Yeah. Jeff?
I guess I'd say with a lot of the interesting reports we get from around the country in K-12 education, one of the things that I am particularly proud of with this school district is not seeing any of that. I think our staff and our administration and leadership are very good at avoiding situations that are in conflict, and I think our administrative staff and leadership make the right decisions whenever any of those conflicts come around. So that's just something that I guess I believe and am proud of in this district, that we can avoid a lot of the craziness that we often hear about on the news in other districts.
Jess,
Can you repeat the
question?
question, please? It was a
Sure.
long one. Thank you.
New York State has historically been a leader in protecting marginalized students. How would you leverage state laws and resources to shield our district from potential federal policies that conflict with our community values?
Thank you. I think that as a board, I don't know as though any of us are experts in the law or in some of those bigger things. I think as a district, that's why we have different people in different positions. I feel like as board members, our job is to ask questions, ask for clarification, support what the superintendent and the officers of our district are trying to implement, trying to maintain, and just working together, offering support and what we can do also as a board on our side of the table, advocating from that level.
Thanks, Jess. Shani?
Yeah, everyone else has answered this kind of similarly, but I think for us to leverage state laws and resources, we would seek to the guidance and expertise of the district and the superintendent. They will be getting reports frequently from the state and from the county district superintendent, and our job is really to help support, advocate, and protect ourselves locally, as some of the federal decisions may not actually get to us locally, which is good, which we've seen so far, and we've been able to keep things local and stay focused on what's best for our own students and our own districts.
Okay, thank you. The next question, Shani, again is for you. The other three candidates detailed how they've been involved in East Irondequoit schools. How have you been involved in the East Irondequoit schools?
So probably not as much as any of the three other candidates. This is my third year in district. I have just started to attend like PTA, but also evening events have been tough. But I also coach in Irondequoit, so I've been coaching little leagues, baseball and softball. My son is in the play this year now, doing some of the stage sets, so I'm helping support whatever volunteer they need for that. But it's a journey, moving and getting reestablished, and so I'm starting to do more and more daily, but definitely not as much as the three folks next to me, as this is my first time running for board, but also really starting to get engaged with my students and their friends differently than we have when we first got here.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is for all four candidates. We're going to begin with Jeff. Jeff, what concrete steps would you take to protect the rights and dignity of LGBTQ plus students and staff, especially in the face of increasing hostility?
I think we have many programs that within our district that are designed to avoid any, I guess what I would call bullying of any class of student that we have. It's not just the LGBTQ students. It can be my children are Asian, so that is a subclass that obviously can have some bullying associated with it. So I think it's something in our district that we have to pay attention to every student and make sure that they are protected and given the attention and the rights that they deserve. I think basically it's just like any student that they all have the same rights, and we need to uphold those rights.
Thank you, Jeff. Jess?
Repeat the question again?
Sure.
Sorry, I get sidetracked in my
What
head.
concrete steps would you take to protect the rights and dignity of LGBTQ plus students and staff, especially in the face of increasing hostility?
Thank you. So I think the biggest thing is just being and educating ourselves, educating everybody that's involved in the schools. That could be your cafeteria monitors, your bus monitors, the teachers, administrators, security officers, so that we are continuously learning, ways to support students that are in that LGBTQ plus community. I definitely think that as a district, we support all students, but I will say that there have been obviously more things in the news and that we've heard about locally with students who fall into that subcategory and who are struggling. So I think as a district, we owe it to all students and their families to find ways to support them.
Shani, same question.
I think as a board member, it really comes down to policies and procedures. There are policies, there are different groups and things within the district that create ally systems for students, but we also have dignity for all students, where if any bullying is reported, it gets investigated to detail. So as a community member, as a board member, really supporting through policy and making sure policies are aligned to all means all, to all student groups, and that we make sure we ensure, those safety procedures, policies, and all the guidance that is given to us is followed. But we also support the district with their procedures and what they do, if there's anything that needs to be investigated or different situations that come up. But really, our role as board members is to ensure that the policies are written to support, and ensure that they're followed through with administrative guidelines and the procedures of the district.
Thanks, Shani. Kim?
I don't want to be a broken record, but that's what I said. We set our policies to make sure all students are respected and cared for. We're not going to tolerate any bullying, no matter what group you identify yourself. So I think as a board member, you can help by setting policy and making sure that your policies meet all students' needs. As a community member and somebody that cares, I'll just say that the world needs to be kinder. We need to be kinder. That's all I'm gonna say.
Thanks, Kim.
Almost got through it without crying.
That's a perfect note to end on, unless we have another community question. Are we all set here? We're done. We're done? Yes. We're done. Okay. So we've reached the end. I know you can all breathe now, right? Okay, so we've reached the end of the question and answer portion of the program. I have to thank all 4 of our candidates for your thoughtful answers and responses to all of the questions. Thank you for that. So let's move on to the closing statements. Each candidate will now have up to 2 minutes to make their closing statement. The statements will be given in ballot order this time, starting with Shani, then Kim, Jeff, and Jessica. So we will start with Shani.
Thank you. I guess first of all, thank you for having the opportunity for people to meet me tonight, as I am the only person that's new to running for board in East Irondequoit Central School District. So I thank you and appreciate the opportunity. I am number 1 on the ballot. I didn't say that on the opening, so I will say it now. I am number 1 on the ballot. So if interested and you think I'm a good candidate to support your beliefs and what you believe a good school board member should be, I would appreciate your vote. In closing, if chosen, I will always serve and honor the diverse perspectives of all the families and students in this school community. I'm a firm believer of that. I'm an advocate of public education and very passionate around high expectations for all, and really pushing to continue to move the district in the direction it's going, but supporting the board, working with the board in conjunction, but supporting the superintendent and all the strategic plan initiatives that are set. but really looking to serve in a capacity where I can really help support the school community and serve East Irondequoit Central School District.
Thanks, Shani. Kim?
So, again, I'm seeking reelection. I'm number 2 on the ballot, and I will tell you, if you honor me by supporting me, I promise to continue to care, to listen, to advocate. As I said, my heart is East Irondequoit. I believe in supporting not only our students, but our staff so they can educate our students. I believe in working very closely with the 8 other members of this board and with our superintendent to deliver what our community children need, and that is a solid education of caring, loving people who believe in high standards and the success for each of our students. So I would appreciate your support on May 20th. I'm number 2 on the ballot, and Lancer Pride.
Jeff?
Okay, numbers. So I've put 4 of my children through this district. I've been living in this district for some 45 years. I've been serving on this board for some 20 years. It's been a great honor for me to do this. I certainly ask for your support in this run so that I can serve another 3 years on this district. I guess the good news is I won't need any training to do this. I've been doing it for a very long time, and I get the job. So I'm number 3 on the ballot, and I ask for your support, and I also ask for the support of our budget this year. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff. And Jess?
All right, so I'm number 4 on the ballot. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that showed up tonight, and thank you to anybody that watches this and the East Irondequoit community members that have supported me over the last 6 years that I've been on the school board. I've enjoyed my time. I would love to continue to serve. If you feel as though I'm a good fit or continued fit for the district, please come out on the 20th and vote. And yep, I'm number 4.
Okay. That concludes our program for this evening. Thank you to each of the candidates for being here, being present. We appreciate all of your responses. A reminder to the community that the budget vote and school board election is Tuesday, May 20th from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the Eastridge High School. Thank you so much and have a great evening.